Hello, everyone, and happy today. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. I am Mark Intrican from Reality Focused Dynamics, creating success focused solutions, creating those solutions one reality at a time. We have a very special show today, and we're going to have fun and we're going to get into some very deep subjects. But before we start, I'd like to talk to you about the company. And what we work on is number one, and some of what we're talking about today achieving unity through the power of caring, helping, and including others. We build prenuptial or relationship agreements to help people going through marriage, custody, divorce, or just relationships because the nuptial is not required, but clear understandings in coaching parents to resolving problems in the marriage, before marriage, achieving successful parenting time during or after a divorce, and then we also create solutions based on the personal or professional realities and possible struggles in front of each of us. So as you can contact me through my site, www.markintrican.com. You can reach me by email, mark@markintrican.com, or you can call me at 303-362-8733. That's the same as 303 focused because we must be reality focused. Again, it's Achieving Unity. It is a weekly podcast. Right now in 2024, it is every Thursday except Thanksgiving. We will not have a live recording on Thanksgiving. It will be a holiday in the US. So we'll have a recorded version that will play. But in January 2025, we are moving to Wednesdays, and my courses will take over the Thursday spot. But right now it is 1 p.m., and it will remain even into 2025 on the Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Pacific time to 4 p.m. Eastern time. From reality focused dynamics to success focused solutions, we create and build on those focused solutions. So please contact us today for more information on using Agile and Lean. Now, this is more on the business side, but it also works outside of software. This philosophy can be used in every discipline, every vertical, including our home. Agile is the ability to create and respond to change, enabling success in an uncertain and possibly turbulent environment by emphasizing the adaptability through better collaboration and communication. This again is personal and professional. Lean is a methodology focused on maximizing value by minimizing waste and optimizing your processes through continuous improvement, effectiveness, and efficiency. Connect with me and I'll show you how to break all products and services down from the most complex projects. And I have worked for Boeing and Lockheed Martin and then all the rockets. We can go from those kind of projects all the way down to the basic steps of training our teenagers. And yes, it can work. Let me show you how you can transform changing into improving. Changing is short term, improving is long term. Developing into delivery. We always hear about the try. Well, I'm trying. Well, trying has a percentage. How much have you completed? So we go from developing into delivering the product or service. And we go from software into solutions. Technology is everywhere, even down to our little phones in our pockets. But we want to do what's called WID, what I call WID, BID, RID, GID. Write it down, break it down, review its dependencies, get it done. And we can do that. Achieving unity, some of the things we're talking about today through the harnessing the power of encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Encouragement can be the strongest power known around the world today, and that power is in the center of empowerment. So if we're encouraging others to do better and let them learn how to do better first, because too many people just don't know, we will become united by achieving unity. We will become a successful team, inspiring one another to achieve every goal. Together, we will conquer every challenge to inclusion and celebrate each victory personally as well as professionally. Are you, someone you know, facing relationship challenges or difficulties with parenting time? Frustration? Demonstrate that anger holds no value. A lot of times it's just frustration. Remember, anger, ANGER, is just actions not gaining effective results. That's all anger is. And we don't want to continue doing things that don't have effective results. From personal relationships to prenuptial agreements, and again, nuptials not required. Life happens, and we can learn to embrace and enjoy every moment of it. If you have your phone handy, this is to the website home. This is our QR codes, and to my contact page. Feel free to contact me anytime. I'd love to hear from you. Going to our current guest later. Next week is Hispanic Awareness, and the person has not been able to get the time centered just yet. LGBT history, I have to change. The person that was going to be speaking for our guest has to travel. But Veterans Day, Maury Zelkovich. For International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, Tara Woodley, she'll be here. National Play Day with Dad. I've got a couple of people that we're working together. Hope you'll be here for that. And as I mentioned earlier, Thanksgiving, U.S. There will not be a live podcast. Try to get something recorded out here. Well, now, this highlight of the day, and we'll introduce her in person in just a minute. But Miss Garcia, through her own walk, her harsh lessons, brought on by extreme independence, resulted in areas of her life being sabotaged repeatedly. Her personal journey of post-traumatic growth has led Ms. Garcia to understanding and dedicating her life in developing transformational programs, various forms of coaching, certification courses, and establishing a nonprofit to help real-time victims. Her commitment is to provide lifelong transformational habits that can restore your powerful internal sense of control. One of her personal statements, we'll talk about it in a few minutes, you don't live anywhere but in your head, is why some of her laser-focused teachings are on aligning your mental and emotional belief system. Ms. Garcia, Agape, how are you today?
Wow, thank you for having me here. I am doing well despite all the stress I'm under.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit behind scenes about that, but I am just honored to be a guest on your show here. Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out here to be with us. It's just going to be such a learning experience, and we want it to be a fun experience as we do this. So, as we start off, I've been able to read a little bit about you. We've talked a little bit over the LinkedIn and through our emails, but personal stories, experiences. Wow, what you have been through. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your journey and how you have overcome domestic violence?
Well, that could take a lifetime, but what I will do is instead of going from like childhood to current, I think I'm gonna go current back because the more I talk about it and the more I'm able to kind of hear myself as a third party, share the story, I'm identifying the dots that kind of like build us up to the adults that we become based on all these milestones in our life, more so childhood, because that's the environment and the space that we had no control over. We could not ask who our parents were going to be and what environment we were going to be subjected to.
Right. Oh, good point.
So for me personally, about 3 years ago, I was in a major car accident, and that car
Oh, I'm
accident
sorry.
resulted in having a 1% chance of surviving. And so I was so devastated that I'm even hearing that I could have only a 1% chance. I was told that I, was supposed to be paralyzed from the neck down and I better not make a
Oh
move
my God.
because anything could trigger that. So in my neck brace with my eyes wider than I probably could ever open them, I said to the doctor, the trauma surgeon, I'll be your most compliant patient. Okay. And I mean, like every day in ICU, I'm petitioning, why is my life being spared? I need answers because I'm a fighter. I've always fought for, my livelihood, my, you know, protection, my privacy, the roof over my, like I have had to fight because of the struggle that I, was born into. And so I just could not wrap my head around it not being me this time. I didn't have the strength to fight for myself. I knew that it was something bigger than me. So I just kept petitioning and asking, why? And it came to me that I needed to talk about PTG. So everybody is familiar with PTSD. We all have a form of it to some capacity because most of us have, experienced some form of trauma in our life. And not enough people really talk about or are aware of PTG. And PTG
Mm.
is post-traumatic growth. So
Oh,
while I'm getting this like epiphany of why my life is spared and what I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to, start navigating in the world now that I'm, spared, um, it's just coming to me that sharing my story of surviving a double attempted homicide about, 20 years prior to this car accident is really what put me through this journey of, swim or drown. And when you're in that real survival mode of swim or drown on a daily basis for so many years, you become a conditioned person with an outlook of life and a belief system that can be very sabotaging.
yeah.
Trust is out the door. Understanding of yourself and your ability to make conscious, correct decisions is a little skeptical. Yeah, there's a lot
I
that we go through.
can see that.
Yeah. And so, I just kept saying like, okay, now that I'm understanding, like, yeah, my life is being spared because I'm supposed to share this story and tell the world PTG. I mean, it's like there's so much more than that. You think you have this idea of like, yeah, this is what it is, but it's more. It continuously grew, day by day, literally, because all I was able to do was lay in bed and at least fidget with my phone. So my little fidgeting with my phone was nothing but researching. I'm researching stuff. I'm coming up with ideas. Okay, how do I get real time resources without being that victim in real time need? What is available? Because I started thinking about all of the complications that I had when I was in that situation. Right here,
Right.
I mean, here's the situation. I moved from, over 1,000 miles. Okay. I was in Illinois. I moved to California. I was 7 months pregnant at the time with an 8-year-old daughter. I was in school. I was working. I mean, like I had my stuff together. I was Miss Independent. You couldn't tell me anything. I kind of got my life together, right? And then of course, when you have the opportunity to leave where you're born into and like go somewhere completely across, the nation, you feel like that's a success all in itself. Like, yeah, I'm moving up, I'm moving out, I'm, making it in life. And so that's where I was. And back then, there was not Facebook. There was not, all of these social media things to do your research and, really see about somebody. So, Mr. Right comes along, whatever. And we were together for quite some time. And, we were expanding the family. And he got a job opportunity in California. He accepted. He offered for me to stay or go. Of course, I was like, well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to make the decision, to make up my mind. Of course, I'm going to go. So he's out there about 4 months prior to me because it was job related and I was in school and my daughter's in school. So I'm waiting until, the right time, which was spring vacation for us, April. So this way my
Okay.
daughter doesn't miss a day of school. I don't miss a day of my semester. Like my semester's already done and we drive. Okay. So about 3 weeks later, a month later, my belongings arrive and I'm unpacking. I'm like in my nest mode. I kind of know where, kind of acquainted with the neighborhood at this point. My daughter's in school. We have a routine and I'm getting ready for the baby.
Okay.
So while I'm unpacking and getting my stuff, put away, settled, I find belongings of another female. I said, oh my gosh.
Ooh.
He did not tell me he had family or friends over here. So let me see how I'm going to handle this, right? Because of course, then at this point, I just gave up my entire life. I left my job voluntarily. I left school, left family, friends, everything. So I waited until dinner was made, kitchen clean, kid bathed and in bed, and it's just us. So okay. Before we go to sleep tonight, I have a conversation, a conversation we need to have, a question that I have for you. While I was unpacking my stuff, I came across the remnants of another female, and I would like to know, who does this belong to? What's going on? He said, "You're going through my stuff? You're going through my stuff?" No, I'm unpacking and getting settled in. Before I could finish repeating myself, he had already had me on the floor. He was sitting, straddling my pregnant 8-month belly with his left hand around my neck and his right hand closed fist punching me over and over and over to my head. And my daughter
Wow. I'm
wakes
sorry.
up from this like rambling on the floor, and I hear her voice, "Mom, mom." And I'm like, oh my, I never hear my daughter's voice like that. Like something about your kid, the voice, the tone of their voice, it rang in my brain so loud. It was like she was right here, even though I knew she was up the stairs. And I just said, "That's my daughter." And I slammed my feet on the floor. I'm already on the floor, so I slam my feet on the ground, and I use my neck as a kickstand, and I thrust my hips to the ceiling. He rolls off of me this way. I pop up. I run around the couch. By the time I get there, she's taking her last little step off the stairs. I grab her hand, and we run out the door like that. Okay,
Wow.
I am doing 45 days, and my whole entire life that just got there is gone like this.
I'm so sorry.
Huh? Oh my gosh.
He had
So
never put, I'm sorry to interrupt your story. He had never exhibited this type of uh
exactly. No.
before?
No, he did not. And I was told before I left by a very good friend of mine. She said, "You need to have a really big argument. Like you guys had your little spats, but you need to have a really big argument because you need to really know. You're leaving everything." She told me that. She's a wise woman. I said, "You know what? Okay, I'm gonna do that." I did. I did. It was on purpose. It was intentional. Yes, I did that. And you know what? There was nothing for me to be concerned with. I appreciated that words of wisdom because that was important. But you know what? The outcome was good. I didn't have any red flags. So what I learned today, 20 years later, okay, is that narcissistic abuse is quiet, it's very silent, and that power and control wheel actually has more validity than what meets the eye. Because, see, things, let me say it like this: people who will say are predators, people who know what the protocol is, what the behaviors are, the levels to measure, milestones, so they know how to raise it to the next level. I'll say it like this. It starts with love bombing and all this praising. You're so beautiful. Oh, I love how you do this. Oh, I love how you do. Oh, every little thing is so great. And then the time, right? So more time, more time. Oh, I just want to spend quality time. Oh, I love spending time with you. Oh, you make me so happy. That's the time. And this becomes it's exciting, it's new, it's beautiful, it's feelings. But here's the thing: when it's not authentic, when it's not genuine, when it's not real, okay,
Right.
what they're doing is they're watching your reaction so they are able to tell. And as long as that love bombing is starting to allow little chips of this like negativity, or these little,
Mm-hmm.
negative banters, or that turns into like semi disrespectful, then becomes a little bit like demeaning. These are the things that start really small that you don't really notice until it can start chipping to the point where you're like, who am I? Why am I sad? Why don't I want to go home? What the heck is going on here? I have no time to spend with my friends. I have no time to spend with my family. I feel like I have to check in and ask permission and be defensive all the time, and I don't even know who I am anymore. I mean, these are real things,
They
okay?
are.
So with this particular individual, the first thing was, 2 years, we're dating, we're happy. Now we're expanding the family. Now we have all this exciting new stuff going on. And the moment that I was gone meaning my community, my support system, my friends, my family, my job, everything that allows me to be independent was gone. And I was solely dependent on that person. There was a shift. And I didn't
It
even
seemed like
see
there
it.
was a control. Help me out here, Agape. It seemed like he, in this case, felt a bit of a control over you because of where you were now compared to where you all were previous. Is that what am I hearing that correctly?
Well, here's yes and no. Yes, that's what it was, but no, that's not what was identified or even acknowledged real time because we're a family. I'm pregnant with your baby. We're coming together into our own
Exactly.
home. Why would I feel like it's anything outside of what we're saying we're gonna do? Okay. So I did not see or feel or no flags went off about, oh my gosh, I should not do this. I should not be able to trust what he's saying. Like there was none of that. So I learned later after I was, licked my wounds for years, on end. You know, this is a part of that patient, slow abuse that people inflict that take time because you have to earn that trust. You have to earn that love. You have to be able to identify what are the boundaries and the thresholds and the non-negotiables because if you can push a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, it's eventually going to get to that point where you break that person down, whether it's mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, economically, with technological, cyber, stalking and abuse. It comes in many different forms. And when you are emotionally involved, your emotions can blind your logic. That's why when there is, this devastation or these unexpected breakups and all that kind of stuff, there's this like battlefield between the mind and the heart that's then at war because they're so confusing what you think, what you feel, and then how to comprehend all of that becomes the next
Wow.
level of frustration, right?
Yeah.
So there is really so much to it. So with all of that I had endured from that moment of, running out of the house and knocking on the neighbor's door and calling the police and,
I'm
sharing
glad
my
you did
story.
that.
Well,
Too
what other
many.
choice did I have? I had nothing. I had nobody.
And
Nobody.
Agape, I so look up to you for what you've done, but one of the things that I have learned and talked with people, they don't go next door. They don't call the police. They go run inside their car. They just go hide in the yard. They don't take that strong step forward in doing what, and many times is all they can do. I appreciate what you did because you did call the police, and too many times that hasn't happened. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, it sure does. And thank you because you know what? Coming from Chicago, Crooked County, for those that know Cook County,
Wow.
Crooked County, they're out in 2 hours. They're back home in 2 hours. I had no idea what was going on. I tell you what was not going on. What was not going on, I was not getting any sleep. What was not going on is that I had no idea what was to be expected. Was I expecting him to come home in 2 hours? Was I expecting him to be home in the next day? Like I had no idea. I had to learn where I just decided to spend my life or move my life because now I'm high risk. I can't travel anywhere. I had a way to go to the emergency room. I had a way. I could not even go that night. Why? Let me tell you why. Because when you have no one, you have to figure out how you're going to manage everything. And I
Yes.
said to myself, I don't know if my unborn child is okay right now, but I cannot leave my daughter by herself anywhere because I don't know anybody. I am not going to take my daughter to the emergency room with me, have her up all night long, and then hear everything that was going that happened. She heard rumbling. She didn't see what happened, and there was nothing visible because he was punching me here. I did not want her to be exposed to me telling my story to doctors and nurses and here all night long. Are you kidding me? So I said, okay, I'm gonna have to go home. I'm gonna have to do this research. I'm gonna have to see what the heck to expect, who to call, what can I do? It's 11 o'clock midnight. I gotta take her to school in the morning. After I drop her at school, I gotta get to the ER because you know what? I only have 7 hours to be at ER because I have to go back and pick her up when the bell rings. I mean, like everything has to be accounted for to the minute. Okay? So when when they took him away, he was chauffeured to an establishment. He was given light, he was given heat, he was given food, he was given access to a law library, he was given a bed, he didn't have to worry about day-to-day living needs. Okay. Me with the children, one on the way and one already here, my lights went off after I spent a week and a half in line, applying for food stamps, begging to see if I can get any sort of assistance to feed me and my children. Okay, so while I'm over here fighting for my safety, now I'm fighting for our livelihood, while he's like with his feet up, getting served, having access, and all of these things. So confusion, bitterness, feeling stupid, not knowing, trying to figure out why, and all these things. Of course, that placated my everyday ability to understand life and have some sort of like clarity on what I can do and what are my options and what choices, can I make based on those options, and what action can I take based on the resources that I have. I mean, if I couldn't carry it, I couldn't take it. Okay. So there was so much that I could sit here and share all darn day long. Like I said, a whole lifetime
Yeah.
of situations. But
Right.
all of this to say that, if I didn't experience that teenage abuse, that physical abuse, if I didn't lose my sister at a toddler stage in life, if I wasn't abandoned by my mother as a toddler, you know if I didn't have the dad that was unable to cope with life and be checked out
Wow.
completely, if I didn't have all those things, I would not be that strong person that I am today, because since I was pushed out of the womb, I came into this world having to fend for myself and figure life out. So if it wasn't for that struggle as a child to mow lawns, clean cars, clean houses, pull weeds, change diapers, to go get bread, milk, and cereal for myself, I would not be able to sit there and convince myself at 25, 26, 27 that I could be a single mom in a life or death situation with two kids and I can handle it. There's no way in the world. People would have jumped off the cliff.
Wow.
And trust me, I've thought about it many times. Okay, I've thought
Um,
about it, you know, but at the end of the day, my kids are all the kids are all that I have, because I have no siblings, and my parents, there's nothing there. And I'm all that my kids have. So being that sole
right.
provider, that sole protector, staying off social media, figuring out, what am I gonna feed my kids tonight? How are we gonna make it? How am I gonna be able to provide? How can I protect? And I have sole physical legal custody of them. So they're all mine. I share them with nobody. They are all my responsibility. I receive no child support from either one, nothing. Okay. So having to figure things out and really be able to have this sink or swim mentality is what got me through and really helped, I think, give my kids a real solid insight of responsibility, situational awareness, and the ability to and really to eliminate naiveness, because people in the world, listen, they're sharks, they smell blood, they're coming.
Good example. That is so true. Congratulations on what you did. That
Well,
is a
thank
strong
you.
step forward, Agape.
Well,
That is
thank you. It wasn't, I'm sorry. I said, it was not easy, because let me tell you that when my daughter was ready to leave the nest, she said, "Mom, I'm so sorry for everything that happened to you. I respect you so much on how you were that helicopter mom, that one that was, every time I turn around, you're there. I can't get away with anything. But you know what? You were emotionally unavailable for me." And you know what? I cried and cried and I couldn't believe it. I was so freaking offended and hurt by that comment. But I put myself in her shoes and I validated her feelings. And I said, I want to fix that. And we went on a weekend retreat and I learned about emotional intelligence and I learned about forgiveness. And I said, this is something I don't want to stop, because I realize how broken and damaged I am from being pushed into this world that I had to fight through to the point where I was being fought for. And I am just not going to stop because I want my
Good.
relationship to be the healthiest possible for my children. My love language was providing and protecting. Her love language was emotional bonding and quality time. I couldn't do that. I didn't have time for that.
Yes.
Okay. So now that she's an adult, knocking on 30, and now that we understand certain things and we've gone through that work together, when we know each other's love language, we're good. But I didn't stop there. I kept going and going and going. And I believe that if I didn't do that, I would not have had the ability to lay in that ICU and not feel sorry for myself. I would totally be in there doing that. That
Yeah.
why me? Why me? I wasn't doing the why me? Why is this happening? I was doing why me? Why am I being chosen?
Mhm.
You know?
And I love what you're doing, Agape. Sorry, Rob, but that's one of the things that I will try to help people in that process. Also, is get out of the why me into the why not me next. Take that next step, and I think that's what you did. You were
That's
in
that
that
post-traumatic growth.
how can we, through this program and through us working together, how can we help others build on that post-traumatic growth? What is
Well,
this?
yeah, I can share quite a few pointers for that. So, I'll mention three things right away. One is understanding where your triggers reside. Okay. If
Understanding where
you
your triggers reside. Okay.
That's right. So there's two types of triggers. You have your positive triggers and you have your negative triggers. You want to go over that real quick?
Do you have time?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I think this is
So
good because it's going to help the audience. You've been through this.
that's
Agape, you
right.
have seen this right in front of right in front of yourself. What
Oh
you can
yeah.
share with others so they can see something. Again, you're in a situation where you're with a person, everything seems fine, and then boom, one day things are different. So your experience and your ability to share these things, I think can help open others' eyes. It can help me as I talk to others and share your story. So please, yes, would you go ahead?
Thank you. So this is what I want you to think about. Maybe you could even give a demonstration. So I want you to think about your favorite song, right? When you think
Okay.
about your favorite song, you'll crack a smile. If you hear your favorite song, you'll start moving your body. There's a physiological change that's happening. That's your positive trigger. Your negative trigger is also a physiological change. So that negative trigger and that physiological change can be your face turning red because you feel your blood getting warm. You can start feeling that tension in your back, that lump in your throat, that ball in your stomach. There's a different space in your body, and you have a physiological change when you are negatively triggered. Okay. So
Hmm.
once you are able to identify that, so here's your second nugget. When you're able to identify where your trigger resides and you know that that's what's happening, you are in the most authoritative moment in the day because now you have a choice because you identified, you have a choice. Do you want to respond or react? Okay.
Okay.
Now, if you're looking for a potential, outcome, the one that you want, think about how you need to respond opposed to react so you can get what you're hoping to get out of that situation,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And the other thing is, leveling up your coping skills. What are you thinking? Is your inner voice an inner critic or is it a cheerleader? Because if you don't know how to intercept that negative inner critic, you're going to be talking to yourself in a way that you would never even let anybody else talk to you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you can move a million times, but you live in your head. So if you don't get that space cleared up, what clutter are you in? It's a choice.
It is a choice. let's touch back on that because some of the things that I'm hearing and the people that I work with, there are still times where when you have that opportunity, and I don't think you did, but there's times where you have to draw a line and say, this is far enough. We've gone to a point now where it's got to stop. And again, you're in a situation where this all came as a surprise to you. But then let's all go also go back to that love language you were talking earlier and all of those direct love bombs where somebody is sending you love notes or telling you they love you all the time. But then I
Hmm.
think you were talking about sometimes there's also a little bit of deceiving or deception that you might see as well. Let's kind of tie all that together. How do you handle? How would you help someone because you saw it? You lived through it. How can you
Yeah,
help someone as you see that? You get those love bombs, you get those love you, sending those little pictures, sending those little cute sayings, but then there's some deception on the side as well. What can we help tell people? As you've
yeah.
lived through this, what please go ahead.
So I don't want to take away somebody's real experience of feeling love or feeling loved for the first time or for the second time or ever. You
Ever.
know, that feeling
Mhm.
is a beautiful feeling. I just want to say that, sometimes when it's too good to be true, it is. Sometimes it's not. It is really truly a risk that you need to be willing to take when you start realizing that you have feelings for this person or you're letting them into your life to the point where they are impacting your emotions and they're capturing that part of you because it is, you know so to your core. Your feelings and your emotions are so to your core, that's why they get hurt.
Yep.
And when you trust somebody and you start having these feelings that are allowing you to be more vulnerable, that are allowing you to be more trusting, that I would say that those are your key indicators that, you know what, this is a good idea just to kind of make sure you're in the right spot. So it's almost like if your kid is saying, hey mom, I want to go to this, party, and you're like, okay, but before you drop them off, you're checking to see where's this place at, what's the neighborhood, who's the parents, who's going to be there. Like, you just want to make sure it's good, it's safe for
Just
them, right? So
mhm.
you want to do the same thing for yourself. All right. And my recommendation is this: check to see how is their relationship with their sister, their mother, their father. Check on their relationship with other people, not just their family, but their co-workers, the community, their friends. See what type of actual reputation they have, and not just he say she say. Be a part of
Yeah.
that circle. Watch how they interact, watch the behaviors, see what people, how they respond or how they approach. These are all huge indicators for you because you're
Yes.
giving your life or combining your life, your reflection of, that's a part of, that's your other half, whether you're
Yes.
like married or not, you're still, that's the other half if that's who you're sharing your life with. So those things, those actions to take to like really identify how they are with other people and their other relationships, current and or prior, are huge insights. And do your homework. Do your homework. There's too much information readily available at this time in life.
There is.
That there's no excuse not to have done your homework.
And then you get into situations where I think what you're saying, Agape, is you're looking at their friends, looking at their family, how they interact with each one, how they spend their time, and then do they have only temporary friends? Do they have any close friends outside of family? It's
That's
all
right.
kinds of things you've got to look at in the process. And then what do you do?
That's
How
right.
can you how can you grow with that situation? How can you help the situation itself grow, such as that relationship, so both of you see and understand what's going on and make sure, I think, like you said, you have to go from the bottom up. Make sure that your relationship takes that foundation wherever it is and help it grow to the point that you're both able, as I don't think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, you didn't have some true talks with your
Well,
ex
right. And you know
spouse.
what? And the more informed you become, the more confident you are with your decisions, and the less fear will be your dictator.
Can you say that again, please? That's something people need
um,
to hear. That the fear
um,
not being the dictator.
Yeah, fear should
Fear
not be the
is
dictator. The more you are informed, the more confident you are in the decision you're making. Why? Because the moment you acknowledge there's an issue, then you should immediately go to see what are your options. Once you can identify your options, then you have the ability to make a choice. Once you make that choice, take action, because that's the only thing that's going to stop you and or change change the situation, because doing nothing is still a choice, by the way.
it is. Thank you so much. I love that you talk about that because I work with fear a lot. And of course, there's all kinds of definitions of fear. And I always grew up learning that false evidence appearing real for FEAR. Well, I've kind of worked on that because my company is all about reality and reality focused. And I've turned it out to false evidence about reality. What is reality? What is real and what's perception? And I think that's some of the places we need to go. And when you just said that about fear, and it can't be your deciding factor, right? You've got to learn. And I like the way you said you got to ask those questions, that collaboration, that communication going forward. And yet I feel for you because you didn't have that in the beginning. How
That's right.
how
Never.
how how are you doing now? How about a little bit more about you? I don't want to get too personal, but how are you doing now? I love what I see that you're doing and spreading out. And the reason that we are talking with each other through a friend of ours that you were referred to me, which I love.
Oh my
How are
gosh,
you?
yes, what a sweetheart. So I've been off social media my entire life. I never even had MySpace. It was not until I came out of the hospital from surviving that car accident that I decided to get online and have some sort of presence. And that mutual friend of ours is one of the first people that I met when I was first starting my telling my story. I was on their podcast. And we just connected so much because she really felt my spirit and my commitment to, the community I'm serving under this umbrella of domestic violence. And we have remained friends. There are a handful of people that I've met along the way that we have found each other, that we are really bonded and connected because we are servant leaders that are giving back to the less fortunate. Even if we are still ourselves in a less fortunate situation, we still have the heart to give back, because you know what, we made it this
Yes,
far, so we know that there is hope and that it can happen. It's giving that, that that stern, honest hope and belief that, look, even though we're hurt, we're struggling, there's a ripple effect. It's way better than what it was.
it was way better than what it was. And I like the words that you're using too, because hope takes action. We hope for things. And I'm always telling people, hope you're having a wonderful day. But in the bottom line, that foundation to build that structure, hope takes action because we can't just sit on our porch and sit in our rocking chair and eat our bonbons or whatever it is. We've got to get out of that rocking chair and
That's
start
right.
doing something. And
That's right.
I don't mean to just keep saying this, but I'm so impressed by what you're doing and how you're taking it forward. And sorry to interrupt, but there's just like you said, we need this about a 17-hour podcast to go over all the things. But
Yeah.
I want to take you back just a moment to where you were initially. What legal issues and what can we do to help people like you, male, female, mother, father, man, woman, people like you are in a situation, all of a sudden you were tossed out theoretically on the street. Someone else has the benefits, and here you are. You've just moved out to a new home. You have a child, you're pregnant. Where do you go? Where is your strength? Where can you go? What can you do? What can
Yeah.
we tell
So
others?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is that real-time resources are uh I don't know, are they around? So I'm laughing and it's not funny because here's the thing, with that incident, surviving that double attempted homicide, that happened at 11 o'clock at night. Do you think that I was in line for a shelter? Do you think that you think that shelters advertise where they are and that there's a line
Mhm.
out the door that they'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we can accept you? There's no such thing as
There's
that.
not a number to call, right?
Oh yeah,
There's not a
sure, but it's 11 o'clock at night. And you know
mhm.
what? If this just happened 15 minutes ago, there's a process that needs to be in place. Did you get a restraining order? Do you have an advocate? Do you have paperwork? Do you have this? Do you have that? Because think about it. Anybody, think about it. Okay, I'm gonna go super extreme right now. There's, a transient outside, they're high on meth, they're like way out there high on meth, and you know what? They're gonna go frantically into the shelter and say, I'm being abused and I need a bed. How are you gonna differentiate and really have a vetting process in place if you want to, opposed to having any Tom, Joe, or Jane coming through the door? So,
Okay.
there's a lot of different things that people need to really consider when they ask those questions about, well, can't you just do this or can't you just do that? Yeah, we
And
can move out, but moving on is the problem.
there you go. Well said. You can move out, but moving on is the problem.
Yeah,
How
because that's where the resources are being limited. Like I said, if you think about where the criminal gets to go, they get to go to this establishment that is structured, that has food being delivered, a gym being there so you can stay healthy, counseling, you could be on good behavior, you could get a job, you can make your money, you can have access to a law library. There's all these beautiful resources. I'm not saying that it's easy to live in that
right.
environment, but I'm telling you what's available. And
But
listen,
there's a
there was a
foundation there though,
person,
right?
huh?
That there's a kind of a foundation for them there.
Oh,
There
oh my gosh,
it's not a
100%.
it's not a great situation by any means, but what is it? What's that saying? There's three hots in a cot for them. Where
Yes,
what did you
Mark.
have?
Exactly, exactly. I had the whole wide world to my fingertips, which is I'm a grain of sand in the ocean.
Hmm.
Okay, that's what that equated to. And here's the thing: I just want to tell you how serious this is. There are people that go to the bank that they write a letter and say, give me $1 right now. I'm robbing the bank. Give me $1. Because that's all they need to do is put that letter in to say that they're robbing the bank, and for it could just be $1. And they do that. You know why they do that? Because they need to go to jail for committing a crime so that they can go and get dental work or health medical care. I kid you not, this happened a couple years ago in La Jolla, California. Okay, somebody robbed Bank of America for $1, and they said because I needed to see the dentist. So that's
Wow.
that's that's the luxury that people have concocted in their brain that jail is. It's like a luxury. And
We
when you talk to the survivors that were victims that realized they were victimized and they had to start from scratch with nothing, you know, it is true. It is a luxury in comparison to what the victim had to go through to survive and provide for their children.
It is so true. We could do another podcast on that, Agape. So that's yeah. Well, that's just another huge process. How can we on this one? I want to. It's kind of like I said earlier. You don't want to laugh, but the lack of good administrative professional help is almost laughable. It's so sad, but it's almost laughable. So what can we do to help others maybe not as traumatic as what you've had, but how can we help others that may have been through similar situations help with that healing, help with
Yeah.
moving forward somehow?
Yeah, thank you. I did go on a tangent there, so thank you for that. Okay, so so the nonprofit Confronting Domestic Violence is the one that I founded from, ICU.
Thank you.
And, any contributions, whether it's volunteers sitting on the board, community involvement, donations, whatever, anything helps because what we do is we provide real-time resources. And what I mean by that is we do take calls from people that are dealing with the situation right now. And what I'm able to do is, calm them down and I ask what is their current situation so we can assess what their immediate needs are. Then we go to all of these organizations that we have at our fingertips and see, okay, this is what they need. Here's a person or an organization that is being funded, that is open, that is currently, assisting this community. Let me give you this information. Here's, three resources and some important steps to take, for yourself. And then, if later on, they go through and they find what they need and their next need is relocation, where maybe they found a shelter, maybe they didn't, but they need to get there, then that's where the heart of our program comes into place.
Wow.
So on top of that, confronting domestic violence is networking and collaborating with other multiple organizations that help give a full service of support and resources to this community to prevent folks going back to that abusive relationship. So there's financial literacy, there's job opportunity, it's a whole community. So that's how
That
people
is
can help.
excellent.
It takes a community.
It does. How can we help get the numbers that you got such a strong you got such strength by doing that? How, and we could get onto another school issue, how we can get this information out to people, whether it be in the high schools, how it can be in the universities. How do we let people know that you exist, that what you're doing exists for others?
Well, thank you for saying that because it's unfortunate that nonprofit organizations have to be in existence to fill these gaps that are not funded by, government agencies and that provide these types of resources or, platforms. So, you're going to get me on another tangent as it relates to school because the minute you're talking about sex education is the minute you should also be talking about full consent. Okay. And grammar school, middle school, high school, they don't do that. Only the colleges and universities under the Violence Against Women Act has the funding to provide, security and or resources and or training slash teachings around domestic violence. So it really is word of mouth. It really is visibility at this point. What am I going to say? Social media. I mean, it's
Right.
unfortunate that you're not looking for these types of things unless you need them. This is not something that you're searching for unless it's like something happening in your life or somebody that you love and you're trying to help them. Otherwise, you're not thinking, who's going to think about domestic violence unless they have to?
Unless they're encountered with it, it's happened to them
Or somebody they love. That's what I'm
or
saying. So
somebody they
yeah.
love, right? Hmm.
So I want to share something really important because well, first of all, our auction is live right now. If you're interested, if you can't make it to the event, October 27th at the Del Mar Social, you could go online and see, the awesome stuff that we are planning for that evening. And there are items that you can, browse and put a bid on right now if you wanted to. But I
Is
want
it
to tell you,
online or just in person?
yeah, it's both.
Okay.
Online is the silent auction, and then we're gonna have the live event where the auction will be both live and silent. We kind of mix
Beautiful.
it up a little bit.
Do you have a website? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Is there a way we could look this up if I was to go out to the web right now? If I were to go out
Sure,
to the web right now,
confronting DV. Yeah, confrontingdv.org.
confrontingdv, domesticviolence.org, confrontingdv.org. Okay, thank
That's
you.
right. Yes, thank you so much.
You
And
bet.
so
That
here's this amazing, beautiful thing that took place over the last year. So not only I shared the mission of domestic violence, we had a vision that I had to take off of our website because the vision became a reality overnight. Last year, in September 30th, Governor Newsom signed a bill, SB 553. It's a legislative bill, and it is mandating that California organizations have a workplace violence prevention plan in place, and they are making sure that Cal OSHA is the enforcing agency. So
mm,
multiple things here. Number one, it's a legislative bill, which means Cal OSHA also needs to be educated on this bill because it is not their policy. All right. Number two is that Obviously, domestic violence is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. The needle has moved. The statistics have increased. That now they're putting this, mandatory response plan in place for organizations. So this is not just a response plan; it's a prevention plan. It's a reporting
Beautiful.
plan. It's a following up plan. But yeah, I agree. It's beautiful. But here's some things that some gray zones to think about, right? If first of all, if you look at the statistics, 1 out of 2 women, that needle has moved. It used to be 1 out of 3, but now it's 1 out of 2, 1 out of 4 men. If you have 100 people, employees that coming to the job site every day, you got 30 of these 100 employees dealing with something. So what is the risk that you're gonna have domestic violence spill over? It's pretty high.
Pretty
Okay.
high.
That's right. And so that is still such a social stigma. You are hoping and depending that if employees are going to report it so that it can be prevented. And then take it a step further, emergency responders, domestic violence is the riskiest call for emergency responders to
Yes.
respond to. So now me and you are the first responder. Eh? So there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just a written policy plan. It's not a policy, it's a plan. It's not just a written plan, but it is a actionable plan that people need to be trained to understand and how to respond, mitigate,
How
prevent,
to
report,
respond.
respond. That's right. That's
How to
right.
handle it once it happens.
That's right. So if you're in healthcare industry or law enforcement industry, you are exempt. If you're a small business not open to the public and you are compliant with your injury and illness prevention plan on an annual basis, you are also exempt. If it's anything outside of that, you need to be compliant. And the fines start at like 12,000 and they go all the way up to 160,000. And I talked to the Department of Industrial Relations on a weekly basis. They oversee Cal OSHA. So I asked, how are you guys doing this audit? How are you making sure that people are compliant? They said we don't have to be there for anything specific to a violent action on site. We could be there for anything. And the moment that we're there for anything, we're asking. That's how we're making sure that people are compliant. So to say the least, based on my boots on the ground subject matter
Boots on the ground.
expert in domestic violence, but also in my professional life of compliance, physical security, access control, communication, project management, and all that stuff. I am now your SB 553 SME. I am giving
Subject
training.
matter expert.
That is right. And
SME.
I'm offering SB 553 training. I have already taken care of a school district. I have already taken care of a local family-owned business. And I'm hosting 3 classes at the Better Business Bureau at the end of the month.
Thank
Domestic
you.
violence spillover is a real deal at the job. Billions of dollars are lost in productivity, in response, in lost time. It goes on and on and on.
It does. And the domestic violence, we have the hate and anger and prejudice that I talk about and share with others. We have got to work together. But I tell
That's
you, the
right.
last couple of minutes, this time has just flown by. We're going to have to do this again, maybe again in December, at least by January.
We totally should.
Let's make this redundant. Let's make it recursive. We need to do this. But if you have, and you do, just a couple of minutes, what can we close on today? That how can we help people in that next step? And not to be afraid to report it, but how? Well, you tell me what are just a couple of minutes here? How can we close today to help people take that next step wherever they may be today?
Yep. So I'm going to give you a couple of things. I'm actually going
Thank
to
you.
share the posting that I did before we got on our call today, and I don't do social media, so this was way outside of the norm for me, but this is what I said today. Domestic violence does not discriminate. Everyone knows at least someone. Fear of the unknown can hold us hostage to the abusive, toxic environment. It may seem like there's only 2 options: wait until the personal breaking point is reached, or wait until being personally broken is reached. But another
Wow.
option is not letting that fear leave you with only the choices of option 1 and 2 above. All
Mhm.
right. So what you want to conquer, you must confront. You are your
Well
biggest
said.
asset. Yes. You are your biggest asset. You influence so many people. If you're a parent, your children are looking at you, they're looking up to you. You are their hero. How do you want them to see you? And what emotional intelligence and example do you want to give them so they have the strength to stand up for themselves? That
I
is what I
love.
want to leave you guys with today.
Thank you so much. That's what I look at with the people who talk about feedback and feed forward.
That's right.
Parent is that child's feed forward, and let's
That's
help them
right.
grow.
That's right.
Wow. Oh, that is so beautiful. Agape, thank you so much for being here. I mean to cut you off because we have to do this, and we'll talk about something else coming up in December because I've got several items with Human Rights Day. In January, I have more. Let's build one around a subject that we can put together and get it out to more people, and let's continue to help others grow forward.
Let's do it.
Happy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Let's continue talking. Thanks to everyone who joined today. Again, this is recorded. If you need it, if someone else needs it, let us know. We all can work together. And as Agape said, it takes a community. Let's be part of that community. Thank you all. Hope to see you again here next week. Cheers.